So idea number 3, the rise of the merchant class. We go from a feudal system in medieval Europe to a new republicanism, the Republic of Florence. And Florence becomes the cultural hub of the world. It becomes the center point for all of these ideas from all of the world to go and mix around and figure out what is useful and what's not. Let's discard the useless, and let's find a way to plant the useful and make it blossom into as much as fruitful of a tree as we can. It became a place for snobs, and this is really so cool. The word snob basically meant not noble. You are a snob. You are not of noble birth. And so they would see all these noble people, would see all these people who are like really, really rich. And they were like, what? That person used to be a peasant. Look at how they're spending their money. They're such a snob. They don't know how to spend their money right. Us nobility really know how to spend our money. And so a snob was like a way to poke fun of and belittle these new rising merchant class. Is basically like, look, they have all this money, but they still don't know how to spend it right. But so this place for snobs, this cultural hub, becomes the center of international trade. There's a new demand for luxury goods. And we're going to really get into the luxury goods and the import and export of them with section 10, with idea number 10 about this craftsmanship and artistry. But essentially, Florence has a couple products that they do really well. They're really good at their wool. They're really good at their silk. They're really good at their jewelry, and they're really good at their leather. And so what they're able to do is they're able to export these out to people because it's so prominent in there. You can't get a whole lot of money for it just because everybody has it. But the people over in the East don't have awesome wool, silk, jewelry, and leather. So you could go send that out to them, and you could demand a way higher dollar amount because it's much more rare over there. And meanwhile, there's a lot of stuff that's really abundant over in the East that they don't have a whole lot of in the West. And so they could get a much higher dollar amount there. So there's just like a market is opened up. And one of the things that they do to help regulate all of this, all of these goods that are being sent out is they implement a guild system in Florence. And so they have these guilds where they have like the wool guild, the silk guild, the painters guild, all of that, the woodworkers guild. And they have all of these guilds where it's basically this group of people that get together and they help set quality control to make sure, look, it's only good stuff coming out of our city. And they get to make sure, like, let's set the prices. That way there's not people coming into the town trying to undercut and ruining the market. We want to make sure we keep a healthy market. So the guilds really helped ensure that the market was healthy, that the products were good quality coming out. And these guilds actually ended up getting to where now the guilds had much more power than the noble elite. And so then they were able to have where they could, the Republic was founded based off of like the guilds people. And so the guilds people ended up being able to hold all of the power. So you get unprecedented wealth and power in the merchant class. And this goes to idea number 5, which we'll be talking about soon, which is the families that are like the family businesses that they're having, that by having these really, really strong families that are controlling these guilds, they're able to, like, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to learn this and then it ends with me. It's like, we're going to learn this and we're going to teach this to our children and they're going to go and improve on this and they're going to teach this to their children. Like, we're not just going to give this up in one generation. We're going to try to keep constantly improving this. And the whole entire idea surrounding all of this is knowledge equals power. So all this money that they're making, they're investing it into their information and their books. And this is where you see like family libraries coming up, like these people they really loved books. They loved ancient knowledge. And we could go a lot into the history of the Medicis. And that's something really worth looking into as like extra studies, is like how much the Medici put effort and energy and money and resources into buying and acquiring new information, new books, and building up their libraries. There was also a really interesting thing that happened at the time that I think is very parallel to the Bitcoin revolution that's happening now, the cryptocurrency. There was a new system of banking that was happening at the time. And so all of these ideas have these parallels to the modern world where we could really learn basically there was an alternative system to banking. And this is one of the things that the Medici family found that was so valuable, is a system of double entry bookkeeping. And we don't have enough time to go into detail about all these ideas. But essentially, the double entry bookkeeping was more than just a profit and loss. It enabled you to like keep track of all of your assets, your debts, equity, and all of that. So it basically was able to give you a much more bigger picture of your financial health. And so they were able to compound their money much faster. And through this compounding of the money, through the guilds, through the banking and all of that, these people are just getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier and wealthier through all this trade back and forth, opening up that trade with the East and the West. They were just, I mean, the money was rolling in like never, ever before. And it was just really like everybody who's out there on all these outskirts of Florence, it's like, man, do I want to stay here and be a peasant, or do I want to go take my chances in Florence? You wanted to move to Florence and take your chances. Same way people want to move to America to go live that American dream. Now, how do you go from being that peasant who goes and basically has no power to how do you go to where you could go into a place like Florence and then gain political control? And there was one way that where you could do that above all of the rest, and that was funding civic projects. Basically, if you could take all that money and say, look, we need a new town hall, I'll pay for it, guys. Boom. Now you've secured your position as like, I am the person who paid for the structure that holds our city together. People say that's pretty valuable. We really appreciate you doing that. Now, we'll happily give you more political control because you're investing into the city. And then you get all these guilds who are coming into the political system and gaining this power where they said, let's make our government policies not to favor your particular bloodline, but let's get these policies to favor trade and industry. And then this compounds it even more, and they get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. You have this business called the Florentine Signoria, and that's basically what their government system was at the time. It was called the Signoria. It is basically this system where you would have various leaders from the guilds would come and serve a couple month leadership position, and then you would cycle in and out. So you would constantly have new leadership, constantly have new ideas flowing into this republic, constantly have new people in charge. They all were expected to be strong leaders, and they were all expected to have the civic duty to Florence to help not just their own guild, not just their own family, but Florence as a whole. You would want all of that to continue to build and to continue to grow. And then basically whenever this Florentine Republic, whenever this Signoria really gets established, that eclipses feudal lordship, and feudal lordship in all of the medieval Europe just basically becomes obsolete. Like at that time that the Florentine Signoria gets established, then it's basically like, well, we don't need the feudal lordship system anymore. That's done for. We're just like getting rid of that idea altogether. We don't need it. And to further get rid of this nobility, you have all of these wealthy families. They're now marrying into nobility. And so it's not like, oh, we have this noble family and we're going to go marry into another noble family. It's like, we're kind of going down. Like these noble families we're losing power every day. It's actually much better to go marry into one of these rising merchant class. And the merchant classes are like, we need that prestige that the nobility has, and they're already sitting on a bunch of assets and they don't really know how to manage them properly. So let's marry into them, commandeer their assets so we can properly manage them. And so this happens over and over and over and over again. You see all these wealthy families who are merging into these families that are holding all of the assets, but they don't know how to manage them. And so like the wealth transfer just gets more and more insane. So we have some quotes here to summarize what's exactly happening with the merchant class. These are some quotes from the history book. I have 3 quotes. The Florentines, through their merchants and factors in diverse parts of the world, gained riches and multiplied their wealth beyond all other Italians. They sent their goods to every land, and from every land brought back and gained honor for their city. The successful merchant was a hero for his travels abroad, brought not only wealth, but knowledge and prestige to Florence. The stay-at-home trader was a drone, contributing nothing to the city's fame. To the Florentine merchant, travel was not merely a means to profit, but a sacred charge, to venture forth and acquire the world's goods and wisdom, and return enriched to adorn and fortify the commune, or else forfeits one's place in the storied republic. that adorn and fortify is so important, and we'll get into that over and over and over and over again as you study the Renaissance. As it was not just making it beautiful, it was making it stronger, and they saw the two as one. Like, it's not like if you're making things beautiful, you are simultaneously making them stronger, and if you're making them stronger, you are simultaneously making them beautiful. Don't separate the two, or else the system will start to fall. So you weren't really valued if you were just someone who was trying to bring up a business, but you didn't trade with the outside world. Like, that was essential. If you're starting a business in Florence, you are expected and obligated to bring back ideas and value from the parts of the world. If you could place your city as a cultural hub, as a center, if you could place your village as a town where commerce happens, that's the only thing that's you want free flow of money. Money is currency. Money is not static. And they really wanted that concept to be seared into every single person who ever did business in Florence. It is a currency. You want free flow, free exchange, and you must have that in order for the city to thrive.